Hey guys, Miss Charlie here with a get ready with me kind of video, collab with Miss Erica Conger. We've done a couple of these where we just sit down and do a look and talk about certain subjects. Before we were talking about like Sephora kids and things like that. Today we're going to do something a little bit more lighthearted. We're going to use some Clionadh. Today she got a lovely package of Clionadh shadows. I think someone sent her a gift card and she went and bought some Clionadh shadows that she had been eyeballing, so she wants to play with those, and I offered to, hey, let's do a collab and you can play with your shadows, come on, let's do it. She said cool, that's what we're doing, and I'm going to be using the Clionadh shadows that I have to create this look right here. Very simple, very easy. I love a good duochrome, multi-chrome, because you don't really put that much effort in it. You put it on, it's done, and it looks like you took more time than you did. So I'm going to do this look for you today, but we're going to be talking about growing up as Gen Xers. She's 50, I'm 56. We grew up, 6 years apart, but basically the same things, how we grew up. I'm sure the things that happened then that don't happen now, things that have, you think back on, oh, I remember when that, or we used to have this, or we used to eat that. They don't have that anymore. Kids today have no idea. My kids are Gen Z, I believe. They were born in 99 to 2003. I think they're either Gen Z or millennial. I'm not sure. I'll put it right here, what the different ages, years, whatever. I know the kids now are Gen Alpha. We talked about them. But we're just going to talk about some things, some fun things from growing up, things like that. Just a little lighthearted, doing some makeup, yapping about the old days, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm using. I'm using my Clionadh singles here. This is what I have in my collection of singles from Clionadh. I have these from the, what is it called? The stained glass. And then I have these. This bundle was from their round before they changed to the square, because they do have some that are in round pans. Some of these are like slight duochromes, but they're very pretty. And then I have these multi-chromes here. And then I'm going to also use the Dragon Fruit palette. And this has a lot of different colors in it. And I wanted to add more shades to my Clionadh collection, but their singles are quite expensive. They're very expensive. And it's a Canadian brand, and with the shipping, I think it's like $15. If you even wanted 2 shadows, you still have to pay like $15 for shipping, which to me is a lot. And I know it's an indie brand, but it's still a lot. So to add more to my collection, I figured I might as well just buy a palette. When they came out with this, I'm like, that is adding more shadows to my collection, but it's a little cheaper. I think this was $50 versus me buying, if I bought all of these separately, because you can buy all of these separately, would cost me well more than $52. So that was a good deal. And then they just came out with their new collection, where they redid the Paleo and the Archeo, and then they added another one to it. I am very much considering getting all 3 of those. So then I will not need any Clionadh shadows in my collection ever. I don't care what else they have, which they have a lot. And I know someone who has all of them. That's a very expensive collection. But if I just get these other 3, I don't need to buy any more Clionadh. I'll have everything I need, the colors, everything I need. Don't have to buy anymore. But I digress. But I'm going to start in the outer corner. I've already primed my lids with the Devinah Perlusion eye base. I love this eye base. And I'm going to go into this purple here. It's called Prickly. It is a shimmer. You can use shimmers in your outer corner. You can use shimmers in your crease. Don't let anybody tell you that you can only use mattes. You can do whatever the frack you want to do. Whatever you want to do. So I'm going to go in the outer corner and a little bit into the crease with this color. But to talk about some of the things when I was growing up, I already have a video of a get ready with me talking about how I got into makeup and things, how I grew up, where I grew up, how it was difficult for people of color to find shades to match them. There was no such thing. There was no such thing back then. There was no such thing. You either had to mix, or you got whatever was on the shelf, which was usually way too red, and people would still wear it, and they would only wear it, you know, to here, and they had the foundation line right here. My mom had the same thing. She only wore powder, but she had it too sometimes, you know, that line. But I already have a video talking about that, so I will link it. Now that cat hair, I will link that below. So if you want to see how it was with me growing up, starting to use makeup when I was about 11 or 12, trying to find shade, things like that, where I shopped, all those good things, I will link that below. So it's a cool listen to. So you can put that on in the background and just listen or whatever. But I just want to talk about some of the fun things that happened when I was growing up. Well, first of all, growing up, we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of perks and things. My mom worked her butt off. My dad worked his butt off. They were not married or together as a couple, but my dad was always there. If I needed anything, my mom just called. Anything I needed, take me somewhere, take her somewhere. He ran her to the grocery store, whatever errand she needed to go on. If I needed to go somewhere, doctor, whatever, he'd take me to McDonald's. We used to have McDonald's calendars. I don't know if they still have those. They had McDonald's calendars, and on the bottom of each calendar was a coupon. So, you know, you could get a buy one, get one free, or you can get a free or something like that. And I would always call my dad sometimes, because my mom would be like, we're having this for dinner. And, you know, I was little, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want that. I had my McDonald's calendar, and it would say, buy one fillet of fish, get one free. And back then, fillet of fish were less than $1. Less than $1. And I love fillet of fish. Love fillet of fish. And I would just call my dad and say, can you take me to McDonald's so I can use my coupon? And he would stop whatever he's doing, and he would come and get me, and we would go up to McDonald's, and I would use my coupon, and he would buy me a fillet of fish, and I would get one free. And that would be, and some fries, and that would be my dinner. And he would take one sandwich, or my mom would take the other sandwich, and then that would be my dinner. So I remember those many times. And you could color the calendar, and it had, you know, Ronald McDonald and Hamburglar and all them on there. It was Grwm and all them on there. And yeah, I got one every year, and I always kept my coupons, and I always used my coupons because that was fun. But other than that, we did a lot of things that a lot of kids don't do now. I mean, there's still a lot of kids that do these things. I hear people say, you know, kids don't play outside. They don't do. I live in a neighborhood. Kids play outside all the time. You hear kids playing outside all the time. They have a basketball hoop out here, and they're playing. They're riding their bikes. They're running up and down the street. There's a park up the street. They play. There's a little water park. Kids in my neighborhood, at least, they play outside. They play out in the backyard. They're doing the kid stuff. So they're doing what we did. But we did things a little bit differently. Of course, you know, when your mom said get out of the house, get out of the house. You go outside, you play, you go down to your friend's house, you ride your bike, whatever it is you need to do. Just make sure that you are in yelling distance. So when she come out and yell for you, you better be able to hear her, and you better be at home within a few minutes. You better not be too far away, because then you get in trouble. Or you know that saying, be home, make sure you're home before the street lights come on. You know, you'd be out all day, hanging out with your friends at the park, riding your bike, skating, hula hooping, playing hopscotch, whatever, making mud pies, getting into trouble, whatever. As soon as them street lights come on, you better be at home, because it's dinner time and you're getting ready for bed or getting ready for school. You better be at home. You better be at home. Nowadays, I mean, when my kids were growing up, I knew where my kids were. I still know where my kids are, and they're grown. I knew where they were every hour of the day. I knew where they were. Yeah, I knew exactly where they were. I'm gonna use this color here. I'm gonna use it on a sponge applicator, because these, I find that dual chromes and multi-chromes sometimes don't pick up good on brushes, but they pick up great on a sponge applicator. So I have a lot of these. You can get them at the Dollar Store. You get like 20 for $1.25, and it makes it go on so much nicer, and it's not as flaky as if you use a brush, so it's not going all over your face, because I'm one of those people who do my base before I do my eyes. So if you don't want a lot of fallout, these are really good. And this is a multi-chrome. It's got purple, pink, green in it, a little bit of gold. It's got a lot going on here. I wish you could see the shift on this. So pretty. But anyway, you know, kids today, they're out and about. A lot of parents don't know where they are. They're just out doing their thing. But back then, yeah, people knew where you were. Neighbors knew who you were. Even if you were 5 blocks over, they knew where you lived. They knew your parents. And if you did something wrong, it reached home before you got home. Your mom and dad knew what happened 6 blocks away before you got home. And you come home and act like nothing's happening. They knew exactly what happened, because everybody was telling. Everybody knew. And they were going to tell your parents. So you were going to be in trouble when you got home. Anyway, I'm going to use the color Refresh, which is like a pink. I'm going to use that also on a sponge applicator, and I'm going to put that in the inner corner. But just some fun stories from growing up, some fun memories, some of the things that we used to eat, some of the, they're not available anymore. I mean, some things are, but some things aren't. But my favorite cereal growing up, and still is Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes is my favorite and will always be my favorite cereal. I still like it. I'm older now, of course. I have to watch my sugar, so I can't have a lot of Frosted Flakes. But every now and again, especially if I see it on sale, because cereal, the prices of cereal, no. I buy stuff that's on sale, and if it's like $1.99, because Kroger's will have it $1.99 sometimes, yeah, I'll buy me a box, and the box will last me for a while. But the prices of cereal nowadays is, my goodness. Of course, you know, I think cereal should be a treat anyway, because of all the sugar and all of the things that are in it now. It's not as, you know, the ingredients back then. That's another thing. The ingredients back then, the ingredient list wasn't this long. It wasn't half the size of the box. You know, you just don't know what's in things anymore and whatnot. But yeah, Frosted Flakes is my favorite cereal. I used to like Cheerios, the original plain Cheerios, and if you're a Gen X, you know that when you ate plain Cheerios, you had to put at least a cup of sugar in there, because it didn't have any taste, it didn't have any flavor, and you put a crap ton of sugar in it, and then after you eat the Cheerios, you have like this much sugar in the bottom of your bowl. And some of us ate it. I ate some of it, but I learned how to not put so much sugar in it because it would just sink to the bottom. And you take a little bit of sugar and a little bit of Cheerios to give it some taste, but then you'd be left with this mound of sugar in the bottom of your bowl. And I didn't drink my milk. A lot of people, my husband is one of those. He will drink his cereal milk. I've never been that person. I don't want to drink my cereal milk. I don't. But I used to like plain Cheerios because that's all we had. We had Sugar Smacks and Corn Pops. I liked Corn Pops just by themselves. I didn't like them with milk. I just eat them by themselves. They're really good. And Sugar Smacks. But that's my favorite. My favorite, and still to this day. Okay, so on the bottom, I'm just going to go in with a purple liner. This is from Wet n Wild, and then I'm going to go back into that purple, which is called Prickly, and do the bottom lash line. See, that was just that was so quick. And I hope you can see the shift a little bit from that. But see, really quick and easy. But we moved a few times, me growing up, and I have so many good memories in each one of the places where we lived. The first place that I remember, because when I was little, my mom lived with a few ladies. They lived in a house together like roommates, and then my mom got her own place. So when my brothers were born, she was living in this house with these other people with roommates. And my oldest brother grew up with my grandma in Georgia. Sorry. Phone is ringing. Anyway, he grew up in Georgia with my grandma. My younger brother grew up with me. My oldest brother is 12 years older than me. My younger brother is 10 years older than me. So I'm the baby and the only girl. So with the house that I remember growing up in, fun memories of that house and things that happened, to give you a couple stories. And these both pertain to my brother. Okay. When he turned 18, you know how some 18s are. They think that they can do whatever they want. They can speak to their parents any way that they want, things like that. Well, my brother learned very quickly that my mom wasn't having any of that. I remember them having a argument or something. I don't even remember what it was about. And when I was little, I slept with my mom. I had my own bedroom, but I slept with my mom. And so he had just turned 18. So that means I was about 7 or 8. And I was in bed. And they were having some type of discussion or whatever. Again, I don't remember what it was. But he said something that obviously she didn't like. And she had these blue sandals that she wore around the house. And his birthday's in the fall. So the fall here is still warm. It's not cool. So she still had her sandals. And I remember those blue sandals, and they had like the little crisscross on the top. He said something she didn't like. And the next thing I know, her shoes were off, and she's clapping him on both sides of the head with his shoes, with these shoes. And him crying and running up the steps. And her saying something to the tune of, I don't know who you think you are, just because you're 18, you think you can say what you want, or blah, 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 blah. I was just like, okay. Okay, sir. We know not to do that again. But that, to me, as an 8-year-old, 7 or 8-year-old, that was hilarious. It was hilarious. And she never found those shoes. She doesn't know what happened to those shoes. After that, she never found those shoes. Never found those shoes. Never saw those shoes again. They went into the, what is it called? Whoop-ass oblivion. They went into whoop-ass oblivion, because as soon as she clapped those up against both sides of his head, they disappeared. they went into whoop-ass oblivion. She never found those shoes. But again, as a little kid, that was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. Another one, my mom was one of those people who was like, if I buy you something, do not let somebody else borrow it. Do not let somebody else borrow it. And my brother was known for letting his friends borrow his clothes. And then my mom would have to go buy something. And again, we didn't have a lot. So that was a big deal that my mom had to go buy you another shirt or another pair of pants or something because you let somebody else use it and they didn't give it back. Or they gave it back and it was ruined or something like that. She's like, I don't have that kind of money. She bought him a shirt and she exclusively told him, do not let anyone borrow this shirt. Do not. Well, of course he did. He let his friend borrow the shirt. I'm gonna figure out what I want to put in the inner corner. I think I'm going to, I think I might use bubbles. This is bubbles. I don't know if it'll show up. You can see the change there. It's really bright gold, goes to green a little bit. I think I might use bubbles in the inner corner. I think I'm gonna put some glitter glue down. And I have some NYX glitter glue that I took out of the tube and I'm trying to use up. So I have it in here. So I'm gonna put some glitter glue and I'm gonna use bubbles. But anyway, he let his friend borrow the shirt. Well, maybe he didn't tell his friend not to wear that shirt to the house. Because I was in the kitchen and the way our house was set up, because it was a not a duplex, it was a triplex. Our house was on one side because triplex is 3 in 1. So our house was on one side, and then there was a door in the middle that went upstairs that went to an apartment, and then the other side of the triplex, which was just like ours. And we stayed on the depending on where you were looking, how you look. If you were looking directly at it, we stayed on the right hand side, which was next to the street. And the way it was set up was, if I was sitting in the kitchen table, I could see all the way through to the front door. So I was sitting on the kitchen table and I could see all the way through to the front door. And his friend comes to the door and knocks on the door. And my mom was, I don't know what she was doing, but she answered the door. I think she was in her room because it went from the kitchen to her room, which technically would be like a dining area or like a sitting area, but she made it into her bedroom and then the living room. Sorry, my camera decided to overheat, so I had to wait for it to cool off. And while it was cooling off, I went ahead and put on my inner corner. You can see it, it's pretty bright, pretty. I did go ahead and do my liner and lashes, well not lashes, mascara and my setting spray. Everything that I'm using will be will be listed below. This is items I'm using in my project pan for the month of July, so everything will be listed below. But I'm getting ready to just do my lip, and what I'm going to do is, since I already have on a lip balm, I have on the Laneige sleeping mask. This one is in Sweet Candy. This is a little mini size that was given to me by my good friend Andy here on YouTube and Instagram. She gave me this and I'm using that in my project pan. So my lips are still nice and soft. So I'm going to take the color Infusion, which is this purple right here. I'm going to put that on the lips. And I usually use a fluffy brush like this. This is a Wet n Wild or e.l.f. No, this is an e.l.f. This is one of their $1 brushes. I've had this for years. And I'm just going to pat this on to my lips. So when I got rudely cut off, I was explaining my brother's friend came to the door and my mom went to the door to answer. And again, I'm sitting in the kitchen. And whatever they said to each other, He probably said, you know, is James here? And she noticed that he had on the shirt that she bought. So the next thing I heard was, James, Terry's here, and bring him a shirt to change into. She was not very happy that, again, she had just bought him this new shirt. And I know it was new because it had only been maybe a week since she got it. And somebody else was wearing it. No. And of course he got in trouble for that. So being a little sister, you'd always revel in your siblings getting in trouble. Not you, your siblings getting in trouble. So yeah. But yeah, some other fun memories, well, not of that house because we moved next door, because the landlord that was taking care of the house we were in, I guess they were having some troubles or whatever, so we ended up moving next door, which was a duplex. And the older couple that lived there, I don't know if they went to a nursing home or whatever, but they ended up moving out and we ended up moving over there because their landlord seemed to be a lot better, and my mom was not dealing with our current landlord situation. She was like, I'm out of here. And I don't know what happened. It must have been financial or whatever, because it ended up, that house, that triplex got boarded up. So everybody in there moved out and got boarded up, because my mom's good friend used to live on the other side, on the far side of us, and they ended up moving down the road, which later on she ended up being my babysitter after I got out of school when I was younger. That's where I would go to stay till my mom came home, and it wasn't far from the house. It was maybe a 15-minute walk. But anyway, we ended up moving into the duplex next door and lived there from about the time I was about 8, 9 till I graduated from high school. Then we ended up moving again because the city was going to have a highway come through the neighborhood. And excuse me, my brother's calling. I'll be right back. Sorry about that again. Had my brother called. Anyway, but we moved next door, and it was kind of the same type of layout, a little bit different from where we, next door, but they ended up boarding that up. So I guess the landlord had financial issues because nobody ever moved back in there. It ended up being boarded up, and it stayed that way from the time we moved over there till the time we had to move, because they were putting a highway through. And when the city did that, they would help you find a place to stay, and it had to be a place that they agreed upon. So it couldn't be like, some place where it was in a bad neighborhood or it was run down. They had to make sure it was suitable for you. And we found a place and ended up moving there, and I guess they paid your rent for like a year or so while you were there. So we ended up moving again. But in the second house, there were some fond memories. I had my best friend Tamara. She lived down the block, because on the street where I lived, it was the triplex, a duplex, and then there was an alley, and then there was a house on the corner that had like had a big yard, and then there was a street. And that's where my friend Tamara lived. And she was kind of in the same spot that I was. She was the baby, the only girl, and had 2 older brothers. So we kind of got along. She was younger than me, but we played together. We rode our bikes together. We did everything together. When me and my mom and dad would go to the store, Tamara always came. We went to the movies together. We went skating together. When my mom went shopping, if we went downtown to take the bus to go shopping, Tamara went with us. She was just like my little sister. She was like my little sister. But there were some things that happened in that house that were kind of cool. My brother ended up going to the military after he graduated from high school. He ended up going into the Army, and he was in there for probably about 8 to 10 years. And my mom always kept his room there, so when he come home, that would be his, you know, his room he would stay in. And, you know, I had my own room. I still slept with my mom up until I was about, I don't know, 12, 13. Before I went to high school, I ended up staying in my own room finally. I wasn't ashamed. I'm like, yeah, I slept with my mom. I didn't care. Who cares? But I ended up actually going up to my room, because her room's downstairs, our rooms are upstairs. And having my own space and things like that. When you're getting, you know, older, you're getting in those tweens and teens, and you just want your own space, you know, you want your own space. So I ended up, you know, having my own room. I remember decorating it because I was a Michael Jackson fan. I still am. My room was covered in Michael Jackson. And I had my boombox. My mom bought me a boombox. Boombox were a thing then. I remember she bought me a boombox, and I would make my own mixtapes, either by recording stuff off the radio or from tapes that I would buy. Because we have a place, I don't know if it still sells used tapes and stuff, but Gem City Music, that's where we used to go when we were, you know, teens and stuff, to get the latest albums and things like that, and tapes. And if they had some that were used, because sometimes you could get them used, and they were like $1, 50 cents, $2, and I would take those and mix them onto to blank tapes, and you could buy blank tapes. I can get 4 blank tapes for $1, and I would make my own tapes with my boombox. And I remember I loved my radio, I loved my boombox, and someone broke into our house. I remember it was winter, and there was a lot of snow on the ground, a lot. And me and my mom had left to go to the bus stop, because I went to work with my mom. Back then you could take your kids to work. You take your kids to work. In the summer, I went to work with my mom. So I remember us walking down the street, because in our neighborhood, it was the last neighborhood that they would plow or shovel. You wouldn't even thinking about that. We walked down the street instead of the sidewalks, because the sidewalks, some people didn't shovel their sidewalks. So we would walk down the street, because cars would roll down the street, which would make the, you know, the snow a little bit more impact. So instead of walking on the sidewalk. So we were walking down the street, and we saw this guy, random guy, and he kept looking at us for some reason. And my mom was looking back like, you know, who is this weird person? And my mom was ready. She had a pistol. She would use her pistol if she needed to. And she was just like, why is this random person just keep watching us? And he was walking down the other side, down farther on the street, and we were up farther towards the bus stop. And he just kept looking back at us. And it was just weird, you know. So we went to work, came home. We had a dog at the time, because my other dog had died, I believe. My other dog had died, and we had gotten another dog. And he was outside. Back then, you left your dogs outside, chained up. As long as they had protection and were taken care of, nobody cared. Nowadays, if you do that, they're calling the SPCA on you. But everybody kept their dogs outside. So we come home, and the first thing that we would do is we would walk through the house and unlock the back door and open the doors, you know, have light come in, open the doors. And I was walking, I came in first, she was locking the front door, and I walked through the living room, through her bedroom, which again was kind of the same situation as the other house, where it was supposed to be a dining room, but she made it into her bedroom. And then walked through her bedroom into the kitchen. And we also had those type of steps where if you come down the steps, it had two landings you could walk. You come down at the bottom of the landing, you could walk either into the kitchen or into her bedroom. So we had one of those too. So you could walk into the kitchen from her room on either side of the room, either side. So one had steps and one didn't. So I walked through, the one that didn't have steps, walked into the kitchen, and I noticed that the door was cracked. The back door was open, probably about this much. And I just stopped and looked. And she come through and she's like, "What's the matter?" I said, "Did you lock the back door when we left?" And she said, "Yeah, I always lock the door. My mom was a stickler for that. The doors had to be locked, the house had to be locked up." And she walked through and that back door was broken into. And she opened the door and she went outside and she looked for the dog. And the dog was nowhere to be found. And again, we had a huge fenced in backyard. So he had to come in one of the gates and the dog had to go out the gate because we couldn't find him. We was like, where's, and his name was Toma. He was a mix of a husky and a German shepherd. So he was like imagine a German shepherd with a curly tail. We couldn't find him. And the gate was open. No, he ended up coming back home. We ended up finding him, but during that time, my mom was worried and she was like, "I hope nobody is in the house." So she went upstairs because when my brother wasn't there, she always had his room locked upstairs. So his door was always closed and always locked if he wasn't home. Home from the military. So she wanted to make sure that nobody was upstairs. So she got her pistol and she went upstairs and checked and nobody was upstairs. Which was, I'm like 10, 9, I think I'm like 10 or 11 at this time. Because my dog had died when I was in 8th grade. So, no, I'm a little older at this time. Yeah, I'm like 11, 12, something like that. So I remember my dog had died when I was in 7th, 8th grade. And we had the new dog. So it was scary because that's what, she wanted to make sure nobody was in the house. Going upstairs, checking, by herself. I'm a kid, I don't know. So she found out nobody was upstairs, but she had found out that they had taken some things. They took my boombox that she had bought me that I love so much. They took some of my tapes. They took something else. They didn't take the TVs. We had 2 TVs. One that was black and white and one that was color in her room, sitting right next to each other. They didn't take either one of those. And they didn't, obviously didn't find her gun because I knew where she kept it, in her drawer. They didn't take that. But they took a freezer full of meat. Because my mom always kept meat in the house. And she would season it when she got it and then put it in the freezer. And that's what I do as well. I still do that to this day. When I buy meat, I do not put it in the freezer in the package. I see people on YouTube do that and it just makes me cringe because I didn't grow up that way, to just buy chicken in a package and then you're just like throw it in the freezer just like that. I didn't grow up like that. My mom always seasoned her meat and then put it in foil and put it in the freezer. So when you take it out, it's already seasoned. That's just the way I grew up. My mom was from the South. Seasoned food is the thing. But anyway, another good memory is living in that house. My mom liked to sit on the porch. This was back in the day when people sat on their porches. They sat outside on the porches because everybody wanted to know what everybody's business was. Everybody was in everybody else's business. Everybody sat on the porch. If the stories weren't on, because people watched the stories, the lady across the street that used to watch me after I got out of school, I would walk home from school and go to her house until my mom came home, until she started letting me stay at home by myself. Stories. I remember being over there during the summer. She would watch Price is Right, and then the stories would come on, then the news, and then stories would come on. Young and the Restless, One Life to Live, General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful. She was on it. She was on it. She was on it. She watched her stories. But if you weren't doing that, you were sitting on the porch. You were sitting on the porch trying to see everybody else's business. well, on Sundays, everybody was out on the porch. After church, everybody was out on the porch. Because on Sundays, we either went to fishing. Me, my mom, my dad, we'd go fishing. Depending on, you know, if it was too hot or whatnot, we would go fishing. Or my mom would be sitting on the porch reading her Sunday paper. She'd have her little radio, listen to the ball game, listen to the news, whatever. She'd be sitting out on the porch. Or I'd be, you know, playing. I'd be out there with her. I'd be riding my bike, playing hopscotch. I had my roller skates. I had a hula hoop. I had one of those lemon things. I have to put a picture of it here, where you put it on your leg and you swing it around. It was a game. I had one of those. I would either be out back making mud pies. The house had a swing set that really, it didn't have any swings on it, but it had slide. I would be out there playing on the jungle gym, out playing with the dog. You were outside doing something. You were outside. So one time I was in the kitchen. I think I was getting something to drink because I had water guns and I loved my water guns. I think I was filling up water guns or something. And she was on the front porch. And when your mom wanted you, they didn't get up and come and get you. They didn't get up. They just yell. They just crack the door and yell for you. So her chair was right next to the door. So if she needed me, and with a screen in the door too, because it was summer, they either yell or they just crack the door and they yell for you. They didn't get up and come find you. And you better come. They shouldn't have. They better not say your name, call you more than twice, or then they will get up, and then you're in trouble. So I was in the kitchen. She called and said, "Come and look at this." I'm like, okay. So I go to the door, and the people across the street from us used to be where my best friend Nancy used to live and her family. They ended up moving, and these other people ended up moving into the house. And it was just their house, and then there was a vacant lot on one side, on either side of them. There was a vacant lot. So their house was just the only house right there, and it was right across the street. Well, these people had moved in, and they were a lot. They were a lot. Always found drama. Well, what come to find out is the sister, one of the sisters, boyfriend, I guess, broke up with her, and he was seeing someone else. She didn't like that. She went to his house, or her house. I think it was her house where he was staying, and was acting a fool at her house. Girlfriend was not playing that. You're not coming to my house and acting like that. You're not doing that here or anywhere else. So I guess old girl left that girlfriend's house and came back home. So her sister, her mom, they're all with their kids. They're all hanging out on the porch talking blah blah blah. So I guess they're saying all this stuff because everybody in the neighborhood can hear it, because it's Sunday. Everybody is on their porch. Everybody. And this is the focus. This is the focus. Everybody's out there like, go get some coffee, go get some tea, go get some chicken, go get dinner, and sit here and let's watch this play out. Everybody is outside watching this. Everybody, okay? This was entertainment back in the day. You know, you didn't need TV. Just go outside. Just go outside. So she comes home and she's telling her sister and her mom and all this stuff like that. So about 10-15 minutes later, he pulls up. And he pulls up on our side of the street in front of our house. Girlfriend gets out of the car. Boyfriend gets out of the car. Old girl from across the street, she comes out talking blah, 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 blah. The girlfriend is like, "Do not come to my house again. Do not come to my house. Ever. If I ever see you come to my house." And old girl comes out, nah, 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 nah. Next thing you know, girlfriend whops girl. Girl ends up laid across the front of the hood of the car. Girl has on a tank top, no brassiere, no bra, and she's got lots of girls, a whole lot of girls in that tank top. When girlfriend knocks the crap out of her, sends her flying across the hood of the car, shirt goes, everybody in the neighborhood. Lord have mercy. my mom was just like, oh my goodness. You don't see this every day. Everybody is outside. This is WrestleMania going on right outside in the street. It was hilarious. Mom and sister did not jump in and interfere. They're sitting on the porch watching this as well. Kids, their kids sitting on the porch watching their mama get beat up. Boyfriend, he's not intervening either. Nothing. Nobody is helping. Nobody is intervening. See, that's what it is back in the day. You get your ass whooped and you go home. That's it. She got her butt whooped. She licked her wounds, went in the house. Boyfriend and girlfriend left. Nobody called the police. Nobody intervened because it was not a situation where we could see that somebody was going to get hurt. Obviously, her mom and her sister were just like, you know, you shouldn't have went to our old girl's house and this wouldn't be happening. You know, get your comeuppance. You got your butt whooped at school, after school, and you went home. And usually you end up playing with that person the next day because it happened all the time. Be like, I'll meet you outside at 3 o'clock. You get beat up, and the next day you like, what you do for the weekend? Or you hung out with them for the weekend, even though they whooped your butt. But that was just hilarious. Hilarious. You know, back in the day, everybody knew your business because everybody's out on the porch checking in your business. So you had to make sure your business was not something that needed to be spread around. Even though you still minded your business, you still knew everybody else's business too. So, but that was hilarious. That was hilarious when that happened. Watching that, my mom about fell out of her chair. It was just so funny, so funny. But growing up back then, again, I played outside. I rode my bike, you know. When I was younger, I could only ride up and down the street and back, which was far enough. But then when I got older, my mom got me a 10-speed, and then I was gone. I was a little older, you know, I would go over to my friends' houses and things like that, or we would just go ride. And we had this one hill in our neighborhood that was like very steep, and all the kids would take their bikes down it. And then green machines and big wheels, yes, they would take them down this big old hill, and at the bottom of the hill was an intersecting street. So if you didn't stop in time, it was dangerous. It was dangerous. And parents didn't care. Parents didn't care. We would be out there with no helmets, no knee pads, no none of that. We got scraped up. I got scraped up a lot. And we're still here. We're still here. Now you scrape your finger, or you're breaking it. Oh, suck it up and shut up. Suck it up and shut up. We broke bones and still went out and played. My brother broke so many bones. I've only broken one bone, and that was my toe. My brother has broken both his arms and both his legs. And broke his 2 front teeth out playing football. He's had 99 stitches in his knee. He has had stitches in his wrist. He broke his nose playing softball. And still went out there and did whatever. We still did it. We didn't care. We didn't care. We just bounced right back up. But yeah, thank you, Miss Erica, for doing this collab with me. And this is the look that I did with the singles and the dragon fruit palette from Kaleidos. And they sent me this new packaging because I have the old one, which was plastic, and it broke. And I put it on Instagram that it had broke, and they offered to send me the new packaging for free. This one is cardboard, and it's the same layout, and you can still take them out because the other one was magnetized, so you can take them out, and this one is also magnetized. So you can put be, you know, you can put them in here, but I thank them for sending that to me. And then also I use this color right here of my singles, and I'll put the name of it here, but I use that, and then use the Dragon Fruit palette. So this is my look using Clionadh. I think it came out very, very cute. Purple, I wanted to do purple, so that's what we did today. And that multi-chrome is just so gorgeous. But go check out Miss Erica. She does videos, so many different types. She does true crime. I love true crime. I love serial killers and reading about them. I have the serial killer encyclopedia. I have books on serial killers. She does true crime basically for her state where she lives in, which is Oregon. So she does true crime with things that have gone on in the state. She also does tutorials. She does Throwback Thursdays. She does so many different videos, collabs, and project pans, things like that. So please go check her out. She's awesome. She's very relatable. I love people that I can relate to, down to earth. She's fun. Please go check her out. But I thank you all for being here. Maybe we'll do part 2 of this, because there's other stories that I can tell about things growing up. But also when or if me and my husband do our video or do our YouTube channel, I hope that you will come and hang out with us as well and see some of the things that we played with, ate, music, listened to, dressed, things like that back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. He was born in the 60s, I mean 70s, I was born in the 60s. So we have a lot of things that we did similar, and some things that, you know, he didn't because he wasn't born yet, obviously, that he's not familiar with. But please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Again, I thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all so very much. I have gained so many subscribers in the last month or so, and I thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all so much. Thanks for taking the time. Like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next collab video.